Good evening and welcome back to DXB. Today we're talking all things pets and animals. Now we want to talk about Pet Corner, which is one of the leading pet retailers in the UAE, and apparently they have groomed over 500,000 pets in over 18 years. And with us now is the man behind it all. We are here with Mr. Sidarth Mahindra. Sidarth, thank you so much for being on the show. And of course, I want to thank Raphael for joining us as well. Tell us a little bit about Raphael.
All right, so Raphael is a baby wheeled chameleon. He's about 4 months old. He's been bred in the UAE.
Wow.
And my kids just love him.
I love it.
Shreds, and I said, I want you guys to have a look at him and interact with him. So that's why he's here today.
Well, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's not the only animal friend that we've got joining us on the show.
Laid in my hair, we've got Michelangelo.
That's right.
He's having a little break. He's a little leopard gecko, you said.
Leopard gecko.
Lovely. How easy are these to keep as pets?
In fact, they're a lot more easier than dogs and cats or horses. They require very little maintenance. They're quite, you got to be very picky with their food. So as long as you monitor that, you give them the right habitat, and they're very easy pets to keep. So they're considered to be a good starting pet.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So you just mentioned a couple of really important things there. So the nutrition and the husbandry, and I think that's sometimes somewhere where people can go wrong in that sort of thing. So how do you support people if they buy a pet like this for the first time, or if they get a pet, in providing that optimal habitat and space for them?
Sure. So ever since we started the business 20 years ago, my brother and I, it's our ultimate goal to educate the pet customer of pet nutrition, because that's the starting point. Getting a pet and then not looking after it defeats the purpose, right? It's a very emotional bond. So as soon as someone gets a pet, it's our job to educate them. We give them a handout, we send them newsletters, we put them part of a WhatsApp group where we communicate on a daily basis. We've now developed an AI platform on a veterinary clinic on a website where you can put in questions, and if it's a small animal, it'll answer on small animals, on horses, on dogs or cats. So that's more interactive, and we see a lot more kids get into this. So they get the answers through the AI platform that we've just developed.
And how important is education when it comes to families that are taking on these pets? Because I can imagine, a lot of people come in, especially kids, get so excited, but then they could break them or harm them. So what's your education process when it comes to your customers?
Sure. So we've always believed in one thing, that getting a pet or adopting a pet is not an impulse. And if we see someone, even if they have the capacity to buy or adopt a pet, we make sure we'll understand what the environment is, what the family is like. We would even go down to their homes to see if they have enough space. We will also make sure that they committed for the long term. So these are a few things that we really look at before we commit to even handing over a pet or beginner education. And it's very crucial when people understand, especially it happened after the COVID, where we saw a transient change from people owning dogs, and now it's moved on to cats, right? So people want convenience as well, and families are getting more nuclear, smaller, so they want to have pets that they can easily care for.
100%.
But there are some people who want something different, they want something unique, and online trends, even TV shows, can affect this, like clownfish almost got fish to extinction after Finding Nemo. I know that there's a big trend of sugar gliders. What are the animals that you think people are getting too impulsively and really need to think about if they can take care of them? What's the biggest trend we've been seeing?
I think there are a lot of pet owners who are kind of egotistic, in the sense, I own toy poodles. I have no shame in having small dogs, and I'm happy to walk them because I know that the care for a toy poodle is significantly easier than say a German Shepherd, right? So it's really breed specific, it's really family specific. So I would really say that if people don't really understand what the long-term effects of that pet ownership is, or if they go for adoptions, they need to understand the animal first, and the animals also got to understand them. So people have now started understanding that, listen, I can't just pick a pet on impulse, because I've got to make sure, I've got to stick in through. And I'm so happy there are so many groups out there, rescue groups out there, or in fact even the government's taken an initiative where they're cracking down on people who've got illegal pets, people who can't look after their dogs, who can't look after their cats. There are laws coming in, there are laws in place. So I think, from a utilitarian perspective, everything is being covered. So people are more aware of what they're picking now than they were. And something very interesting you said about Nemo.
Yep.
I love fish.
Yeah.
And the highest population of livestock in the world is fish. Yeah, in terms of aquatics, whether it's the UK or the US. It's a great starting pet, and the care is quite complicated, but as long as you're educated. So we tend to, coming back to your question, we tend to go to schools as a starting point, just buy a simple color book and a handbook. So the kids can understand, how do I build an aquarium? What does it take to build a habitat? What does it take to make sure that the animal's well fed? So we start from the basics, and then children automatically understand that, hey, I can't look after a gecko, but I can look after a hamster. So it starts really young.
Absolutely. How do you think I'm handling young Raphael? Because he seems very chilled out.
He's very resilient, he's very quiet, and I think he's happy on your arm, so he can stick with you for the rest of the show.
Oh, I want some Raphael love.
How has being a pet owner evolved over the years? Because I think before we were probably very ignorant to a lot of our pets' needs. I mean, we were touching on psychology earlier. How do you think being a pet owner has evolved?
Right, so my wife's a clinical psychologist, and we often have these debates about how pet ownership is actually good for psychology. And I've also used, so she treats children with autism and ADHD, and we've seen that there are also functional purposes or uses of having pets. So for example, fish, they're a great pet to have if your child's autistic. It just helps them, focus on what's in the aquarium. At the end of the day, it's like a TV. So you could replace the TV with an aquarium. So pet ownership has really evolved, and people are aware of, like I said, they're aware, they're more accountable, they're more responsible than they were before. It's less impulsive today than it was.
Well, Sidarth, we are running a bit out of time, but I have to ask you, what are the new initiatives and what are the future plans for Pet Corner?
So we are getting into AI just like everybody else is, so we've got to jump on that bandwagon. We've developed a beautiful search bar where you could search absolutely anything you could type. I'm a family of 4. We don't like to go out, we like to spend our time in the house. It would suggest you products, it would suggest you animals or pets that you could adopt based on what you search. And yeah, we're looking to scale up our business. We're looking at a franchise model. We're looking at over 30 stores. By this year, we've reached 20, and we'll have another 2 more opening up soon. So if everything works out well, we're looking to scale up outside the UAE and also enter GCC, the other thing.
Fantastic. Well, Sidarth, thank you so much for joining us and for bringing our special guests on the show. I've fallen in love. Look at him, he's so cute.
I'm glad, as long as I could make it fun, and that's the purpose of life.
Fantastic.
Right?
I'm going to say, having a pets episode, we had to have some pets on here.
Really.
Thank you so much for joining us.